In my video talking about why the Jacksonville Jaguars need to start Blake Bortles, I referenced some of the reasons why teams take quarterbacks in the first round of the draft. So I won't repeat that here. Where the Vikings kind of fit into the category is where they were a bad team in 2013. They also were a team that felt that they had some nice pieces in place, but they needed a quarterback that could be a difference maker, a quarterback to compete with the other quarterbacks in the division, namely Rodgers and Stafford, and to a much lesser degree, Jay Cutler. They needed to be able to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. And they needed that guy that could do more than what they currently had on the roster. And hence, that's why they traded back up into the end of the first round to take Teddy Bridgewater out of Louisville, a guy at one point in time that was anticipated to be no worse than a top 5 pick, and in the running with Jadeveon Clowney to be the number 1 overall pick in the 2014 NFL draft. Now, in terms of the Vikings and new head coach Mike Zimmer, I wasn't all of that surprised that they chose to go into the season with Matt Cassel as their starting quarterback over Teddy Bridgewater. Now, just to give a little background here, really quickly on the Vikings, after 2013, I talked about, their defense was bad, but a big reason why Leslie Frazier was fired and maybe Rick Spielman should have been fired was the disaster that was the quarterback position for the Vikings in 2013. And you're not going to change my opinion on that, period. And the Vikings organization seemed to feel, and maybe some fans felt, that towards the end of the season, that Matt Cassel brought some stability to the team, brought a little bit of consistency to the offense, and he was a decent kind of bridge option for Bridgewater in 2014, overlooking the fact that Cassel's not a guy that can really make plays with his feet and lacks any type of real significant arm talent. System quarterback, if I've ever seen it. Well, they went with Cassel anyways, and now we're 2 weeks into the NFL season, and the Vikings sit at 1-1. So they're not in nearly as bad of a place as the Jacksonville Jaguars. Technically, you could sit there and say for the Vikings, they have a chance at 1-1. I don't know how much of a chance that they have, but you could sit there and legitimately say it because they are 1-1 as opposed to 0-2. But you look at those two games, you're talking about they dominated St. Louis in week number 1, and then they got dominated at home by the Patriots in week number 2. And in those two games, Matt Cassel has been exactly who the hell Matt Cassel is. And actually, not even the Matt Cassel that I would have expected. In 2 games, 372 passing yards, a completion percentage under 60%. So a guy lacking arm strength isn't even being that accurate right now. 3 touchdown passes, but 4 interceptions. He's taken 6 sacks. Is a quarterback rating in the mid 60s. So basically, to me, you're looking at a guy that part of the justification for starting him was that you felt he was more mentally prepared to help your team win games in 2014, especially early on, compared to Teddy Bridgewater, that you thought he was going to handle situations better. He was going to be a more effective game manager. Except the problem is that Castle's arm is really, really bad, even worse than you might have envisioned, and he's not even managing the games that well. You're talking about 4 interceptions, and he's had 3 fumbles. Yeah, they haven't lost any of those fumbles, but imagine if they had even lost 2 of them. So he has more interceptions than touchdowns. You're not getting any big plays out of the passing game, and he's no threat to stretch the field at all with his arm. All the while not doing the one thing that he was supposed to be able to do better in Bridgewater, which is manage the game. I look at Matt Cassel's stat line right now, and you know what I see? I see a stat line that a mediocre rookie quarterback could put up. So again, we get to this whole notion of, if you're the Minnesota Vikings, how can you sit there and legitimately say to your team, your organization, your players, your coaches, your fan base, that Matt Cassel, who has one primary job to do and isn't even doing that job well right now, is the better option for your team and your organization, and is the guy that gives you the best chance to win in the NFL right now compared to Teddy Bridgewater? I think it's ridiculous. And you have to look at this team and you say, by playing Matt Cassel, they're really wasting the talents of guys like Cordero Patterson. I mean, here's a guy with speed to burn that the Vikings can't figure out how to deploy effectively in the passing game. Where the fuck are the deep balls to this guy? Where are you stretching the field with him vertically in the passing game? You can't. He's giving you more big plays in the running game because your quarterbacks are boo-boo, namely a guy like Matt Cassel. You're also wasting big money investments in guys like Greg Jennings, who you signed before the 2013 season in free agency. You gave him a huge money deal. Having a noodle arm quarterback like Matt Cassel, you're wasting that investment. You're minimizing instead of maximizing the return out of all the money you dumped on Greg Jennings. You've re-signed Kyle Rudolph to a big-time deal, paying him like a top-tier tight end. Well, with a Matt Cassel in the fold, Kyle Rudolph is never going to have a chance to live up to that contract. And again, instead of maximizing the return on your investment, you're minimizing the return on your investment. And now you throw in the fact that AP is going to be out of the mix for God knows how long, potentially the rest of the season. You need to get more out of the quarterback position. It's one thing to play a game manager who, frankly, again, isn't managing the games all that well. If you have Adrian Peterson, the best running back in the National Football League, there to take 20-plus carries a game, keep defenses honest, open things up in the passing game, what have you. You don't have that pillar. You don't have that bedrock. You don't have that foundation piece for your offense anymore. The bottom line is the Vikings need more out of that quarterback position now than they have in many years. And they need a lot more than a Matt Cassel can bring them. That is why the Vikings must start Teddy Bridgewater, and they need to start it now. Again, Cassel is supposed to be the better game manager. He's not managing the games well. Eventually, it's only going to get worse when teams realize that this guy can't consistently throw more than 10 yards down the damn field. And if he does, it's either going to result in two things, and neither of those are good for your offense, either an incompletion or an interception. You're also wasting the talents of an explosive player like a Cordero Patterson and big money investments in guys like Greg Jennings and Kyle Rudolph. You also need to shift focus on an organization right now that desperately needs the attention taken away from how they have handled the Adrian Peterson situation. And they deserve that criticism. But they have a chance here to shift some of the narrative and give at least a little bit of a distraction. And I do think that is important. You've got a lot of pissed off Vikings fans, a lot of pissed off NFL people. What's a way to maybe extend some goodwill and get some goodwill back going in your direction and shift some of that narrative and focus away? By going with the young heir apparent potential franchise quarterback that you took in the first round in Teddy Bridgewater to begin with. And again, you're going to need more out of that quarterback position, especially with AP out of the mix. You don't have that pillar of bedrock. What, you're going to sit there and tell me Matt Asiata is going to be your guy? I don't think so. You cannot sit there and get away with an immobile mobile pocket passer that isn't all that good at that anymore, has no real arm talent whatsoever, and isn't even that good at managing the games. You need more than that. And that's what Teddy Bridgewater could potentially bring to the fold. And like I said, you look at Matt Cassel. How could you sit there and tell me, based off of what he's done in 2 weeks, that a Teddy Bridgewater at least couldn't have done that? And as I referenced before, if the veteran is better than the rookie, then you play the veteran. That is the right thing to do. If the rookie is better than the veteran, no matter what, then you play the rookie because, again, that is the right thing to do. Your ultimate responsibility is do the most that you can to give your team the best chance to win for all parties involved in a week-in, week-out basis. But if the rookie and the veteran are pretty much at the same level, it's ridiculous not to go with the rookie because, especially in the case of a Matt Cassel, this veteran over here, he is who he is. He's not going up. There is no more ceiling. He's at whatever ceiling he's at. All that's going to happen is the floor is going to lower and he's going to get worse. So even if a rookie comes in and he struggles, but he plays at the same level, you would assume that this rookie right here is going to get better because of experience and things that he learns as the season progresses. So he's going to grow and he's going to get better. And within a short period of time, he's automatically going to be better than that veteran. To sit there and continue to play Matt Cassel is completely ridiculous, especially in an NFC North that could potentially be wide open with teams like Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago, none of them really standing out, and all of them looking like they have serious flaws. Could be one of those three teams wins the division. It could be that none of them run away and hide with it, and it could be an open race all year long. And the Vikings can't take advantage of the defensive deficiencies of these teams in the division, namely Green Bay and Chicago, and to a lesser degree Detroit, with an immobile, statuesque pocket passer like a Matt Cassel, a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, who, yes, he likes to stand in the pocket and throw, but is a better athlete. It can make more plays with his feet. That's something that Green Bay and Chicago specifically really struggle with, are mobile quarterbacks that can make plays with their feet. And Detroit to a lesser degree. You're doing your team a huge disservice in a division that could be wide open right now, where you're 1-1 just like everybody else is. You need more out of that quarterback position. It's also smart from a business standpoint. You get maximum playing time and maximum development time for your young quarterback on his rookie deal. Why sit there and lose a season of potential development time at a really good cap number and sit there and give yourself less time down the road to figure out whether this guy is going to be your answer long term and whether or not you're going to have to extend him and give him a big time, huge contract down the road? I understand the Vikings, similar to the Jags, don't want to repeat the Christian Ponder mistake, but again, similar to the Jags with Blaine Gabbert, the biggest mistake and the biggest problem was taking Christian Ponder with the 12th pick in 2011 to begin with. That was a poor talent evaluation. That was the biggest mistake, was taking the damn guy to begin with. Teddy Bridgewater is not Christian Ponder. You have to treat the situations differently. And at this point in time, again, I think the Vikings, from a PR standpoint, desperately need this, but just as importantly, from a football standpoint, need Teddy Bridgewater to start right away. They have a chance to hang around in an NFC North where it looks like nobody really wants to run away and hide with it. They need more out of the quarterback position than what they're getting. They need to get more out of these talents like Rudolph and Jennings that they put big money in, and explosive talents like Cordero Patterson. And at the end of the day, if the one thing Matt Cassel was supposed to do was manage the games and he's not doing that, then why the hell is he playing? I look at Cassel's numbers and what I've seen out of the Vikings in 2 weeks, and I say, fuck, Bridgewater could do that and a whole lot more.